gentlemen, welcome to tonight's recital. As a courtesy to the performance of those around you, I ask you to please comply with the following. Please silence and turn off all electronic devices, and there should be no talking or texting throughout the performance. If you need to do during the performance, please do so using the back exit and only in between musical numbers. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy tonight's performance. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. So my name is David Gonzalez, and I'm going to be playing Hall of Ghosts by Dr. Amanda Harburg. So before I play, I want to talk a little bit about the piece. As you can see, I have some information up here and some very interesting musical excerpts. So Dr. Harburg is very mindful of the piccolo's voice in her composition by writing a somber, low register melody that really echoes through the hollow timbre of the register. And Harburg also highlights the piccolo's confident second register and piercing third register. And normally the piccolo is suppressed in compositions because it tends to produce an overwhelming sound. And Harburg really does an excellent job of writing these lyrical sections for the piccolo that really allow it to speak in its true tone. And with that being said, please enjoy Holocaust.
So, so every student in the studio has studied a piece by a composer that meets one of these parameters. Can anyone guess what it is this term? Although, nope, not all of them are French. There's a couple Germans sprinkled in there. Women, all female composers. So that'll also be the case for the 8 o'clock performance. So it's a great opportunity to hear some new names and some different styles of music. We also, unfortunately, this term have a couple of students who are struggling with health issues and who were not able to add an additional piece to their repertoire. The other thing I didn't mention is nobody's doing these pieces on their jury, so this is actually additional work that they're doing. So our next presenter and performer, one of them, Maria, is going to be performing the piece, but Clara was unable to work on an extra piece this fall. So she's presenting. She did some research on the piece and on the composer, and I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to say. So please help me welcome Clara and Maria.
Hello everybody, my name is Clara, this is Maria, and we're going to be doing kind of like a mini lecture recital sort of thing. So the piece that we're going to be talking about today is called Melusina's Dream. It's a really cool piece. It has a lot of different kinds of extended techniques and a lot of just really cool things that show off the flute. So this is our composer. Her name is Christine Drager. She's one of the leading freelance flautists in Sydney, Australia. So that's pretty cool. She's a specialist in contemporary techniques and extended techniques for the flute, and she's even in one of the top contemporary ensembles, and it's called the Sonic Art Ensemble in Sydney. With this piece, she actually won a prize in the Australian flute composition competition, and it was her first solo piece that she composed for flute, so that's really cool. So a little bit about this piece and the origins, the backstory of it. Melusine, or Melusina, she's kind of like a legendary figure that comes from Eastern Europe and is especially popular in Norse and German mythology. Her story kind of has a lot of common themes with the mythology for this area, and one of those themes is the topic of animal brides or mythological brides to mortals. So, bear with me. Melusina's story is a very long story, but I promise the context is important. So her story begins with her parents. So her parents, one of them, her father, his name is Elinus, and her mother is a water sprite named Persine. So one of these days, Elinus loses his wife. She passes away due to a sickness, and he finds himself in the woods, just kind of wandering around, sulking, and he comes upon a well. This well is called the Well of Thirst. So while he's there, and he's taking a break, he hears this beautiful, beautiful singing, and it's from a water sprite named Persine. So he falls in love with her, and he asks her, like, please marry me. Please, please, please marry me. You're so beautiful. Your voice is amazing. Marry me. And she says, okay, I will marry you on this one condition. This one condition is that if and when we have children, you cannot be there when I birth them. You can't see me. You can't be there for as many children as we have. And he says, okay. He says he will respect her privacy, and they go home, live a very happy life, have 3 children. So these 3 children are named Melusine, Melior, and Palatine. So while Persine, the water sprite, is giving birth to these 3 girls, the king Elinus, in all of his excitement, is like, I want to meet my new kids. I'm so excited. And he goes and he rushes into the birthing room, and Persine is infuriated. She can't believe that he broke his promise. They had so many good years together, and she gives birth to the kids, and she picks them up and leaves the kingdom. So when she takes these kids, she takes him into the woods, and she takes him into the Isle of Avalon. It's a little island away from the kingdom. And every single day, she takes her kids up to a mountaintop, and she shows them, this is what you could have had. This kingdom, this whole empire, is what you could have been living if your father kept his promise. And when I read it, I was like, why would you say that? Like, that's messed up. But that's what she did. And growing up, they never knew why. They never knew why they couldn't live in the kingdom. They knew they were supposed to be there. They didn't know why. So when Melusine found out, and Christine, her mother, told her the whole story, she was just outraged. She was enraged. She was like, I don't understand why he would do that. It was a simple promise. So she comes up with this plan. And she tells her sisters, we need to use our magic, our powers, and make him pay for this, because we could have had a great life, and now we're living exiled on an island. So what she does is she gets her and her sisters, and they use their magic to entrap Elinas, the king, into the mountaintop that they've been looking out at the kingdom. So they trap him in there with all his wealth, all his gold, all his treasure, everything. And they feel real accomplished, they feel great, and they go home, and they're like, look, Mom, look at what we did. Like, aren't you happy now? Because he did this to us. And Christine is absolutely livid. She tells her daughters that she took away the love that she could have had with her husband. So although she was reminding them of the life they could have had, her daughters took away the love that she could have had by entrapping him in this mountain. So she punishes them. And because Melusine was the initiator, she devised the whole plan. She got the worst of the punishments. So her punishment was to turn into a serpent from the waist down every single Saturday. And if she was to ever find a husband or a partner or anything, this person could not see them on Saturdays. They had to respect her privacy and just leave her be on Saturday. And if they did, they would live a very prosperous life, and she would, Melusine would help bring a lot of wealth, promote good relations with other kingdoms, and they would just be successful overall. But if her partner didn't do these things, it would be detrimental to the whole kingdom, and even in the end of days, Melusine would still be there, causing pain on the people that betrayed her. So, Melusine lives her life, she grows older, and similar to how her father met her mother, a nobleman named Raymondin is in the woods, doing his own thing, also grieving, and he hears Melusine. He hears her and he sees her, and he just falls in love with her the same way his parents did. It was really cute. And he asks her to marry him. She says yes, on one condition, that he cannot see her every single Saturday. He needs to respect her privacy. So he agrees. They go home, they go to their kingdom, and they live 10 years together. The kingdom is flourishing. They have tons and tons of kids, dozens of kids, and everything is going really well. So one of these days, Raymondin's family, his mother and his sisters, they're asking him, why does she not go to Saturday Mass? Why does she not go? Like, why does she need her privacy every single weekend? That's really suspicious. So he starts to think, maybe my wife is not being faithful to me. I need to find out what's going on. So he spies on her one day, one Saturday, and finds her bathing, and she is in her serpent mermaid self. And he doesn't say anything. He doesn't say anything at all, continues on, and later on they get into a really big argument. And during this argument, he exposes her in front of everybody and calls her a two-tailed serpent. And she is enraged again. She is enraged, and she just turns into this dragon figure, and she flies away and leaves. So after that, she never comes back except to visit her children every now and then, because she had dozens of children that she cared for deeply. So she leaves, and she only returns to see her children. That's the story of Melusine and where she comes from. This is Christine Drager's interpretation of that story, and just her overall inspiration for this piece. So Christine Drager was working with an actor friend on a production of The Little Mermaid, and she was playing with them. She wasn't in the play or anything, but she was playing with them. And her friend played multiple characters. She played the mermaid, she played the sea witch. Sometimes she would sing as the voice of the prince. And Christine Drager just felt so inspired by that, by her friend's ability to just take on all these different personalities and all these different characters. And that's kind of what she wanted to embody with this piece. Excuse me. Okay. That's what she wanted to embody with this piece, while also still kind of paying homage to the Danish story of The Little Mermaid by Chris Anderson. So I'm going to talk about a couple themes that we see during the piece, and I'm also going to kind of talk through the storyline of it, and Maria's going to play a couple excerpts for us. So the first excerpt that we're going to talk about is our opening. So this theme here is supposed to represent the slow, the moving water of the depths of the ocean. It's very dark. We're kind of setting the scene, is what Christine wants to do. This section is meant to be the Once Upon a Time. And you'll also hear a couple times this theme will come back and it'll sound slightly different. And in the end, it's supposed to be the end. So Christine Drager wanted a very kind of cliche, once upon a time, the end, yay, fairy tale. But there's a couple of different sadder themes in between. So Maria's gonna play for us the opening theme, and you'll notice that the technique that Maria is using is singing and playing in harmony, which is really, really cool. Thank you, Maria. So moving on to the next part of the plot of the story. We won't demonstrate it right now, but keep this in your mind for when Maria plays the whole piece. The next section is going to represent the mermaid figure emerging from the water, coming from what we just demonstrated, the depths of the ocean. The next excerpt that we're going to talk about is the following section. And it's this vivo section. It's much brighter. It's a 6/8 kind of jolly sailor song. So with this sailor song, it's supposed to depict jolly sailors on a ship. So they're on the ship, they're dancing, they're playing their hornpipe, they're just having a good time. So it's a very drastic change from what we just heard to this jolly thing, right? So Christine Drager wanted this section to kind of be the scene change, as you would see in a play. The curtains close, everything is entirely different, and then it opens again and the story keeps going. So that's what this portion is. You might, when you hear it, think of like medieval dance music or like a little jig, and that's what it's also supposed to represent. So Maria's gonna go ahead and demonstrate this section for us as well. Thank you, Maria. So after this really bright, really happy vivo section, the sailor's melody kind of changes, and it turns into a very hesitant but somewhat frantic section, and we have singing and playing again. So you'll hear that same kind of theme that we heard in the beginning, just slightly different. And And you'll also notice in this next section that the voice and the flute parts will move independently. And this section is supposed to represent the next scene change, which is a storm that is coming, a storm that is brewing, and danger that is approaching the ship. So as we have this storm coming, like we might expect, or maybe might not, but the ship wrecks. The ship wrecks, and the music that goes with it represents the shipwreck. And that's our next section right here. So you'll notice, let me see if I can get my laser on. Right here we have some descending chromaticism, but with some really funky intervals. So that is kind of to show the frantic like chaos that's going on, but because the ship is going down, so is the pitch that we're playing. Some of the extended techniques that Maria is going to be demonstrating is the multiphonics and the pitch bends also that are going to kind of show, again, the ship going down. And you'll eventually hear this climax when Maria plays the full piece. So Maria is going to go ahead and demonstrate some of the extended techniques. Thank you, Maria. So like I said, the ship is wrecking, the ship is going down, and the next part of this story we'll also demonstrate is the ending of the shipwreck. So the next thing you'll be hearing are some tongue rams, which is one of my personal favorite extended techniques, and this is supposed to represent the sound of little air bubbles as the ship is going down and these sailors are taking their last breaths. So because the sailors are taking their last breaths, you can imagine their spirits, because this song is very spiritual, this piece is very spiritual, that will be singing this variation of the sailor's melody. But this time we're performing it with whistle tones. So imagine the sailors kind of moaning and whispering, and they're not having their jolly time on the ship anymore. So Maria's going to go ahead and demonstrate these two techniques for us. So from this theme, you can kind of hear the resemblance to the earlier Sailor song. The last part of the story is kind of the resolution. It comes back to that opening theme we heard, but it's now going to be in perfect fifths, so that we have this sense of resolution and ending. That's pretty much it for the story. So without further ado, I'm gonna step off, and Maria's gonna